Hello, Oracles. Today we're going to be discussing Tesla bulls versus perma-bulls. Which one is correct? Well, I'm going to answer that right away. You're both correct. Both bulls and perma-bulls are correct. And quite honestly, I would love if everybody could stop bickering like it's freaking middle school. It drives me absolutely insane. And it's one of the reasons why I stepped away from the Tesla community, because during 2022, we had so many people who agreed with each other, but they were at odds with each other. It drove me nuts. We saw a lot of that going on during the elections as well. So many people who agree, but because you don't agree entirely with the other person, you get frustrated and you get mad at them, and then you argue and you bicker and you're like, well, this is why, this is that. And it's like, stop with the madness. You're both correct. You just see it in two different ways. Some people have a longer outlook. Some people have a shorter outlook. Some people see it through the eyes of what Wall Street is seeing it through. Some people see it through the eyes of what retailers are seeing it through. There's not one right or wrong answer. How is the company doing? The baseline is Tesla is growing. Tesla had a struggling couple of years due to interest rates being higher. Tesla is still struggling right now to come out of that right now. Tesla is still growing on a fundamental basis. They did stop that Mexico factory because of other things that were going on with potential tariffs. Tesla does still continue to grow their factories and build up, and they do have a larger potential to have more production. They just don't have the demand to necessitate that production right now. In the long term, we are going to get through this and we are going to continue growing. Energy is growing immensely. That is growing significantly. Optimus is making strides. FSD is making strides. Everything is moving in the direction fundamentally that everybody knows is going to be happening. It's just a matter of when is it going to be happening. So a lot of times the bulls that are out there, these are people like the Gary Blacks of the world or myself. And you see it as, all right, Wall Street is looking about 12 months out. In the next 12 months, what is Tesla actually going to be producing for revenues, for income, and all of those things? When you start looking at those things, FSD doesn't really get factored in because, again, even if you solve FSD in the next 6 months, it's not going to turn that revenue around immediately, because it's not like we have the regulations behind everything to have everybody switch over and turn their cars into robo-taxis. And we still have to worry about, are people actually going to be utilizing them? It's not like the adoption, we have people sitting out there who are taking Ubers right now are just waiting for some people to be using their cars as robo-taxis. It's not like we have pent-up demand for that. We have people using Ubers. We are going to have to go through a transition of people switching from Ubers over to robo-taxis, from Waymos over to robo-taxis. It's going to take some time to make that transition happen. And then we don't even have cybercabs hitting the road until 2027. So realistically, when it comes to the actual cybercab revenue, that's not even factored in the next 12 months because it doesn't exist. Then you look at energy. Yes, energy is growing. You can factor that in as far as its growth goes. It's doing very well. You have the vehicles. You can say, hey, we have the Model Q coming out, but realistically, the Model Q is not going to be hitting the road probably until the second half of this year. Realistically, when it hits that road in the second half of the year, we have to see what's going to be happening when it comes to the EV tax credits. If they do exist, you're going to have a vehicle under $30,000. That could tick up those deliveries significantly. Maybe at that point, we do hit that 30% year-over-year growth that Elon is talking about. If we lose the EV tax credits, we probably won't end up hitting that 30% year-over-year growth. So again, we don't know that number right there. We don't know exactly what's going to be playing out. So that is going to be all speculation. So we have to wait and see what is going to be transpiring. But we do know that the Model Q is coming out sometime this year. That is what Tesla has told us. So we just have to wait and see what we're going to be playing out when it comes to the timing of that. Optimus. Elon did say that we're looking at potentially 50,000 Optimus getting produced this year, being used in the factories, and then upwards of significantly more than that in the next couple of years. Now, these go into Tesla's factories. Obviously, that could help reduce costs when it comes to labor over the course of this year. And then we have to wait and see for at least more than 12 months after that to, hey, are these going to be going into other factories? Are they going to be selling them to other companies? That we're going to have to wait on. So again, these things in the next 12 months that bulls are looking at are things that retailers are saying, hey, these are all coming down the road. Tesla should be valued much higher. Right. In the future, it should be valued much higher versus where it's at right now. And this is what bulls are saying is right now, in the next 12 months, none of those things are going to factor into revenue. So we need to base it all on what are we seeing right now when it comes to revenues. That's it. So conversely, you go over to the perma-bull saying, look, we are looking at FSD and robotaxis are going to be solved. Tesla's going to be changing the world. Energy is getting much bigger. Energy might eclipse revenues when it comes to vehicles in the next 5 years or so. If that happens, that's amazing. And that might even be dwarfed by the cybercab revenue that's going to be coming in and FSD. And then who knows what's going to be happening to Optimus in the next 10 years, where that could just kind of eclipse all of them when it comes to revenue and bottom line dollars. So a lot of perma-bulls are looking out 10 years, and they're saying you should really be buying all the stock you can right now because the price is going to be worth so much more in the future. And now, again, the bulls are not disagreeing with that. The bulls are saying, yes, we agree that 10 years down the road, that could definitely be happening. But do you really want to put the potential of Tesla's company in 10 years all baked into the stock price right now? Because then you won't have any room to grow over the next 10 years. That's what you want, then go for it. But again, you look out 10 years and you say, hey, I think the company's going to be worth $2,500 in 10 years. If you make the company worth $2,500 now, then you're going to lose all of the growth in the stock price over the next 10 years. That's just the reality of it because you look at the intrinsic value and that's what's going to happen. And then on top of that, you put a lot of pressure on Tesla to actually come through with everything that they had promised. We saw that happen in 2022. Now, obviously, there were other factors that caused delays on different things, but the stock price right there was pricing in a lot of future growth. And then, boom, 2022 hit, rates went up, and a lot of that growth went away. We actually saw negative growth year over year when it came to deliveries this past year. So you see that negative growth, and all of a sudden that 30% year over year growth is gone. So it gets wiped away in that stock price because Tesla couldn't come through on all those expectations. Now, again, if you're starting to factor that in with the perma-bulls and say, hey, we should be worth so much more, that's great. But again, you're going to lose all of that future growth when it comes to the stock price. So that's really just kind of the battle between the bulls and the perma-bulls is the bulls do see this. The bulls definitely agree that in 10 years down the road, they could potentially see Tesla having all of those things that the perma-bulls are talking about. We can have cybercabs all over the road and generating significant revenue. Optimus out there eclipsing all of them. You can have energy out there and all the different stuff that Tesla produces in the ecosystem are all running off of Tesla energy as well. That could be the reality in 10 years. Bulls fully agree with that. I fully agree with that. But the problem is you're not looking at the stock price currently based upon 10-year growth. Wall Street is looking at the next 12 months. That 10-year stuff is awesome. A lot of people on Wall Street think that that could happen, but that's still speculation. All they want to see is the next 12 months. The next 12 months, none of that exists. So even if they're bullish on the stock, they're not going to be pricing in all of that stuff in the future because a lot of it, you can't even put realistic numbers on right now because we have no idea what that's going to be worth. It's kind of like the dot-com bubble where you were putting prices on just anything that had .com at the end of the company name, but you didn't know what the internet was going to be worth in the future. You didn't know the full versatility of what the internet was going to be providing. Obviously, looking back, it provided significant growth for us. And I think AI and the things that Tesla are going to have are going to be doing the same for us in the future, but we don't know how to exactly value that. So a lot of it right now is speculation, and that's how the bulls see it. The bulls are saying, hey, show me the next 12 months. And the bulls are like, hey, if we do see Tesla coming through with a lot of other things, we'll buy. Tesla swings up and down significantly all the time. So if they say, hey, I see that Tesla has the potential to do this, I'll wait for the next dip. And they'll buy as it swings down, and then they'll purchase it at that point. That's just how the bulls are looking at it. And again, it's not that they're disagreeing and they're not being bearish at all. They're being bullish on the company. They're just not seeing it as bullish as the perma-bulls are seeing it as a long-term view. So at the end of the day, if you guys are out there having discussion, and I have a lot of them in the comments with you guys as well, is I agree with you. I'm a Tesla bull, but I'm also looking out 12 months. If you guys saw my video from yesterday discussing my strategy by switching over to dividends and real estate for cash flow and doing that intentionally so that I have more money to purchase more Tesla stock in the future and have the ability to retire early as well with the dividends and still be able to buy more Tesla stock at that point, you'll be able to understand more why I did it the way I did it because Tesla moves the way it does. And buying just Tesla stock alone isn't necessarily going to get me to my goals. And if I do, then I'm going to have to sell Tesla. And I don't want to do that. So I have more versatility doing it the way I did it. And looking at the way the bulls are looking at it is they have versatility. They can say, hey, I don't like it at these prices. I don't want to sell it, but I don't want to sit on it either. So I'm kind of just sitting here waiting for the stock price to come down and sitting here on my hands when I could be utilizing that money in other places to be able to get myself more in the future. So that's just kind of the way the bulls and the perma bulls are looking at it. And again, we'll take bears and put them aside because bears just don't think Tesla's worth anything more than a car company. What I'm talking about are the people who are looking at the company as much more than a car company. They see Tesla as AI. They see Tesla's future with FSD, cybercabs, energy, Optimus. Both bulls and perma bulls see this. They just value the company in different time frames, and they want to make sure that Tesla is going to be doing what they say they're going to be doing over that time frame. So bulls can see 10 years down the road. Meanwhile, they're only looking 1 year down the road to make sure that their steps are staying in the path that they're supposed to be staying on, and they don't falter either way. Meanwhile, perma-bulls are just looking 10 years down the road and just going right for it. And they have the danger of potentially falling off of that path one way or the other because of the fact that they're just going straight and they're not looking at the short term when it comes to the pathway. Again, if they've got the stomach to do it and they can brave that journey, go for it. I have a feeling you're going to do very well on the other end. Then you just have to ask yourself on the other end, what are you going to do with the stock at that point? What is your potential long-term goal on it? And again, everybody has a different goal. There is no right or wrong answer to that. And you guys can let me know your thoughts in the comments below as to what your goal is. Again, my goal was changed when I looked down the road and I was like, well, what do I do with Tesla stock when it gets to that value? I don't want to sell it. So where am I going to get that cash flow coming in? Because I don't want to be working at that time either. So I had to come up with my strategy as to what I wanted to do. That's where I came up with my strategy now. Cash flow coming in from dividends and real estate, and the ability to buy more Tesla stock and not have to sell it in the future, and just continue to grow that position from there. Let my son take it and then just continue to grow it from there and let him do what he wants to do with it. So again, that's my strategy, but you guys can let me know your thoughts in the comments below about how you feel between bulls and perma bulls and how you feel about it when you're paying attention to it in the community. Is it something you like? Is it something you don't like? Is it something that you go with it as well and you just kind of fight your battles? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support. Have a great one.